What's up, everybody? Nate Sarantino here, back with another episode of the Guide Spirits podcast. And today's episode is on how and why you should trust your intuition. What even is intuition? And I want to start with intuition is that voice in your head that is telling you to do something. And this voice may take some time to really dial in. So you have a common sense, logic, and intuition for your three techniques of decision making. You can always go with the logical explanation, say, oh, I want to go to the grocery store and I don't have a lot of gas. Well, I'll just go to the one that's close to my house that has a gas station next to it so I can get gas and get my groceries. You know, it's logical. It just makes sense at the same time. So it is also common sense. I mean, maybe you say, oh, I'll go to the one a little bit further away because the gas is cheaper. And maybe that it's once again, you're still using logic and common sense. Now, intuition comes into this when you say, if I go to this grocery store, I'm going to run into this person. I just know it. You just know. You have a gut feeling. You're going to run into this person and it's going to be it's going to be the kind of person who you've been waiting to run into them. You may already know this person. You just know they're going to be in the area at this time and I'm going to run into them. And then what do you know? You end up running into them. That's what intuition can do. And this is a very small example of intuition. But intuition really is key to building a trusting relationship with the self. So let me elaborate. Yourself is the soul. That is the possession of your body is through the soul. You get a body to go about life. It's your soul is connected to this material world through your physical body. And then, you have the life force within you. And I call the life force our blood. Blood, is a very powerful thing. It's I think blood is sacred. I think every human's blood is very special to that individual human. Your entire genome, it comes from your blood. It's so powerful. With this being said, don't be giving your blood out to just anyone. And a lot of people will go against what I'm saying right now, but I firmly do not like giving my blood to anyone. I don't donate blood. I am very particular about who has control and contact of my blood. I find the times that I cut myself and bleed to be very spiritual almost. To see my own blood is a different kind of feeling for me, especially now where I feel very good these days. I feel very healthy. Excuse my sniffles. I say that, and then I've had a lot of mucus lately, and it's weird because I never get sick, and I just lately there's been such a excess mucus, and I just have an intuition that it's related to quantum entanglement more than anything else. With that being said, let me talk more about intuition. So intuition is really suppressed by low vibration, especially fear. And second to that would be guilt. If you feel guilty for doing something, your intuition will get severely damaged. Not damaged as in to the point where it may take years to recover. If you do something wrong to someone, your intuition is going to be hurt. It all comes down to chakras, vibrations, frequency, spirituality. And even in the scientific sense, they say that intuition is the home of consciousness is in the pineal gland, where the little pea-sized pod in the center of your brain, right underneath where I think it's called the hypothalamus. I'd have to double check myself, but I'm pretty sure that's it. And with this being said, you are a conscious being and your soul has memories stored in it through your genes. These memories come out when you run into similar situations and your soul goes through your entire blueprint looking for a similar pattern or a similar instance, and it's what did I do in this scenario? Now, most of the time in your conscious mind, you'll remember something slightly like, oh, when I'm driving, I remember I hit the brake instead of the gas when I want to slow down. That's like a conscious thing. And eventually, these conscious things become muscle memory. But even muscle memory is memory stored in the muscle. And when you get down to it, eventually you break it down into the DNA. Everything gets stored in DNA. It's like DNA, it stores so much memory. And learning how to listen to your intuition will allow you to tap into these memories that are in your DNA. I have a book from Billy Carson, and in this book, he recites that 1 gram of DNA holds 700 terabytes of, what's the word I'm looking for? Data, literally, like ones and zeros, like if you were coding, whatever you were coding, like anything, like on, off, or whatever it may be. So, like, your whole DNA, like, you imagine, like, oh, if you have an off where your right index fingernail is supposed to be, and you don't grow that fingernail, that's going to be an issue. You need to make sure that's on. You want it to be a 1 and not a 0. Well, this goes for, like, cancers, it goes for memories, it goes for all kinds of things. Everything turns into these 1s and 0s and memories stored in the DNA. Well, being tapped into your intuition is going to allow you to, not consciously, but your subconscious will go through these memories, and your subconscious has a little voice, and it speaks to your conscious, and it says, hey you, Nate, go do this, and watch what happens. And then you listen to this voice, and then something miraculous happens because you just did something for almost what would seem no reason at all to anyone else, but to you, you just had a hunch. It was just, wow, I just need to go try this, and maybe it will work, and then it does. Now, some people have, like, hunches that are based on, like, some kind of pattern where they're like, oh, this happened in the past, so this is most likely going to happen. But once in a while, you're going to run into a scenario in your life where you're never going to have experienced anything like it, and you're just going to say, I'm just going to give it a shot. I have a feeling this is going to go well for me. And this is exactly what I did with Forex trading, and then I realized how well it worked out for me. And yeah, it really saved my butt in one of the hardest times in my life. So, this is what intuition can do. It can save you in a lot of scenarios. Well, to move forward, the solfeggio frequency 852 hertz is known as a frequency that awakens intuition. It is the frequency that taps into that third eye, that pineal gland, and activates it. It is like it vibrates in harmony with the little quartz crystals that make up your pineal gland. And when these crystals are vibrating at a high frequency, they resonate with whatever it is that you want them to resonate with. So if you're trying to think about something like, say, you want to go into this business venture, and you're like, well, is this a good idea? Is that a good idea? Maybe you listen to some 852 and you meditate, and you think about the business venture and you meditate on it. And while you're meditating on it at this frequency, your intuition will speak to you, and it will tell you what it thinks. And you have to use this voice like it is life or death. When you can tap into this voice to this level of trust with your own intuition, you're going to find you start unlocking new doors that lead you to areas you never thought you could wind up in. This is how people who are like pretty much like you would never think they would make it in life, and then all of a sudden, boom, like one thing changed, and you ask them how they did it, and they said, oh, well, I listened to my intuition. I trusted myself. They may have had no role models around them, no one to look up to. I mean, now that's not necessarily true because we have the internet and everyone can see what other people are doing online, but at this same level, you can only get so much from the internet. If you're raised for me, I give my own life as an example. I was raised in an upper middle class family. My parents were two hardworking individuals, took some college classes, ended up having a family, worked their way up in business, and they both worked. My mom was stay at home for most of her life. My dad got laid off from his corporate job when I was a sophomore in high school. Mom ended up going back to work that year, and now my mom has been working since. Both my parents are extremely hard workers, and they are really big into, like, security and to making sure you have, like, a 401k being built and then, like, a real foundation. And they have been, like, beaming at me, trying to get me to go down the path that they went down. And I'm just like, no, that's not for me. Like, my intuition says no. It says no. The word no is powerful. If your intuition says not to do something, don't do it. And I promise, that's what you gotta trust this intuition. Because when I say it could be life or death, it might end up being the reason you die is because you didn't listen to your intuition. It's a sad truth, but it's damn true. And I'm a firm believer that, like, people are the defining factors in their own death. The choices you make determine the path you take, and if you make the right choices, you'll find yourself in good positions. And it's really hard to die when you're in a good position. You feel? Like, if you're king, if you castle, and you got a really good, like, structure around the king, and you got that whole corner, like, protected, and you got, like, triple, quadruple, quintuple level of defenses around your king, it's almost impossible to take down that king from your opponent's point of view. Well, that's what you got to do. Like, you got to trust your intuition, and you got to make sure that, like, when you're living your life, you have these securities that are from your own position, where you listen to your intuition and you set yourself up by looking at the past, learning from it, living in the moment, but then looking at the future and saying, okay, based on the past, if I did this and this happened, if I do this, that will happen. Well, what are you gonna get? Well, you're gonna find yourself in really good positions, and you're gonna find yourself listening to your intuition more and more. It all comes down to the first time you do it, it's gonna be scary. It's gonna be one of the hardest things you ever do. It's supposed to be like that. It's not supposed to be easy. Every single step should be a little bit scary. It's like stepping into the unknown is never going to be completely, what should I say, it takes courage. The fear is never going to go away, but you can only overcome the fear with courage. And some people are more courageous than others. Some people have that spirit for adventure. Some people are willing to take that step off of the cliff, because at some point you realize that if you don't take that step, someone else will. And it's either you're going to fall or you're going to fly. And sometimes you fall. But if you fall enough times, eventually you know where to step. And good things will happen. And I promise that. You just gotta have faith in yourself and believe in yourself. More than anything else, you got to believe in your own intuition. When that voice tells you to do something, like when I quit vaping, like on that September 20th, 2021, that day I almost died, and I quit vaping, and my intuition said if you vape again, you're going to die. About a year later, October, end of October, beginning of November, I hit a vape once. That night I almost died. And I said, damn, my intuition was right. And ever since then, I have told myself if I ever hit a vape again, I won't get that second chance. Like, I will die. And so what do? I don't do it. I say no. Some of you are going to learn this lesson the hard way. And it sucks because death is terrible, but death is the biggest teacher that anyone will have. It doesn't only teach you, it teaches everyone around you. So if you really want to learn how other people have died. Learn what has killed other people. And if you can find what works for you and follow your own path and trust your own intuition, you're going to find yourself in a really good position. So, with that, 852 hertz frequency, solfeggio frequencies. They're very powerful. Do some research on them. I can tell you more. I'll be talking about them a lot more now because I believe they are one of the keys to self-mastery. Each one aligns with different chakras, starting from 396 to 963. However, 174 and 285 affect the whole body. With that being said, 852, The eyes are all on you. Thank you for listening, and this was the Guided Spirits Podcast.